All right, this is the Filth cast. I think I actually might be changing the name of it because it's still associated with like that Rush Zalvadez guy. They had a thing called Filth cast, and that's just I don't know. I think
close that door, please?
he's been canceled many times.
That one. Sorry, there was a
Yeah.
cat. There was a cat emergency. Cats were fighting.
This is
madness.
This is definitely more in the vein of the canceled Filth cast because there's just naked women.
You're already sweating bullets.
Oh, did you get canceled?
I didn't get canceled.
Not yet.
No, but do you know about this? Do you know about the thing called Filth cast? The thing that was called Filth cast previously?
I don't know that about it at all. No.
Okay, so there was a thing about, I talked with Ben about it maybe like the second time we talked, first or second time, and they even found it. The people who used to like that, but there's this guy named Rush who had this website called The Return of Kings, and it was all about, it was just like a pickup artist website kind of thing, and I didn't know about it at all. And a few months before we ever did any of these, he wound up doing he did something that got him canceled, and he had to stop the Filth cast. And apparently I don't know, he was extremely controversial. It was called, there was an article we pointed out on Vice. It said like misogynist hate site Return of Kings has finally been shut down or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then this, so just calling, even though it's called the Filth cast, it's just, I don't need that association. And
so what are you going to call it?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Now, who's the guy in the picture that frequently shows up on Josh's screen?
That's Josh when he's more kempt. He's about 5 years younger and short hair and clean shaven.
Yeah, that's at least 5, dude. That's like 7 years ago.
Dude,
I don't know what that picture is. I don't know where they got that.
Why does it come up once in a while?
I don't know. This is my first time using Zoom, so I'm sure I'm fucking up.
Oh yeah, dude.
I'm just curious. I'm not even poking fun.
Yeah, I honestly, dude, I've been staying away from Zoom and TikTok because ever since they came out, I've been like, these things are like definitely Chinese spyware.
Right.
Well,
and
TikTok
now it seems like I'm right.
Is Zoom also? I think Zoom's domestic.
No. Okay, here's the thing about Zoom. It's very tricky. But the guy who started Zoom, for one, he used to work at Cisco. He's a Chinese national and ended up stealing a bunch of information from Cisco.
Really?
And two, Zoom has been caught, I think, twice now, routing non-Chinese calls through Chinese servers. And the CCP has it so that in China, anything that goes through their servers, they have access to. And
so when you say he's a Chinese national, are you saying he's like all about like China?
No, I mean, he's just born in China. He lives in China half the time. He's well connected in China. And then sometimes American calls just happen to be going through Chinese servers. And then whenever they get caught, both times, I believe they basically just said, "Oh yeah, it was an accident."
Of course they do.
Yeah, we didn't. That was a total accident. It was a bug in the system. Yeah, run across the world to China, whatever. Don't worry about it.
We definitely have to get into that a little bit. But Josh, can you introduce yourself? Nobody knows who you are.
Yeah. My name's Josh Loney. I play bass in The Absurd, LA rock band The Absurd. I also direct random music videos, film projects, work on a Netflix show. I do all sorts of stuff, and I rant on the internet a lot, I guess.
You do, and you've come to a great place for ranting on the internet.
Oh yeah, yes. Well, I've decided to stop. I'm done. I'm pretty much done with Facebook, dude. Like, I'll talk to a couple people, and Facebook's dead. I just recently got on Twitter at JoshLoney6. Just because I figured I should get myself
the best. Twitter's the best. If you want to be a piece of shit, just be anonymous on Twitter.
Honestly, I just like it because there's still some degree of just being able to be directly confrontational, which I don't think in and of itself is a bad thing, actually.
No, I love to go on there and just get out my poison. You know, like Facebook is getting less and less popular. It's, you know, a lot of people are like, you know, fuck Facebook. I just use Instagram and Twitter.
What's funny is Facebook actually has probably the least censorship compared to Twitter and Google.
Yep.
Instagram is pretty censored.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they are Facebook, but at the same time, they're a little, I think, more. They definitely will not let certain things on Instagram. They're very strict.
Twitter, you can post porn.
Right. I'm on Parler now. I got a Parler account.
Is that one of like the ones where this is the alt-right hate?
No, that was Gab.
Gab
was like the.
Which one is
Parler? Is like the one that is trying to avoid that label.
They're not going to be able to. Look, I think basically if you're not one of the big ones, and if you're not censoring people and sort of like kowtowing to some of that, I think it's inevitable that you'll have somebody just come out and say all this stuff. That's the way it works. A lot of
they'll
stuff
smear
is used
you
as a club. Yeah.
They'll smear you for sure, but I also think, look, at this point, I think that they've censored so many people that if they keep going at the rate they're going, eventually the people who have been censored will be the majority. And so I think the gamble of Parler is basically, yo, dude, like all these people have been banned and a lot of people still want to see what they have to say. Like they took Stefan Molyneux off YouTube, off Twitter.
Right,
He's on Parler. They took Gavin McInnes off YouTube again. He's been off Twitter for a while. He's on Parler. Milo Yiannopoulos is on Parler. And, you know, I don't really give a shit what Milo has to say because he was pretty much exclusively a troll. So if he's not being seen and heard by the mainstream, then it doesn't matter. Right. But for some of these other people, I think it's valuable for them to still have a platform. And I want to know, even if I disagree with someone, I want to know what people are fucking saying. One thing that really bothers me is whenever especially when I talk to people on the left, but also sometimes people on the right, there's just this complete lack of awareness of what the other side's argument even is.
Yep.
Yeah.
They don't even know what to argue against because like, for instance, I was having a pro-life or perverse pro-choice debate with someone, and I'm pro-choice myself, right? And my friend is more conservative, and some of the arguments that he was making, I was like, dude, you're not arguing against anything I'm saying or anything that I think any reasonable liberal should say, right? You're arguing this party line point of, but it's a life too, right? And it's like, dude, I've been hearing that for my entire life. How come I keep hearing the same thing? Because that thing you're saying isn't actually engaging. So there's nowhere for the conversation to go because you aren't engaging with the other side. And I think it goes both ways on that issue. That's part of why I brought it up. But like,
that's a good point.
There's a lot of good science about the fact that a baby is a life. My personal argument is that it doesn't even fucking matter whether the baby's alive or not, right? But they want to keep I feel like a lot of times those, especially those with an agenda or those in power, either or sometimes you're both, don't want the conversation to actually progress. They want to maintain the sort of status quo of people bitching at each other.
Right. Well, it helps. It's easier to control people that way. It's easier to maintain the status quo.
Yeah.
That's why you have
exactly. And right now, the status quo for the past 10 years or so, since social media became a thing, has been bitching at each other.
Yeah. I think that right now I've seen a lot of like articles and people saying, like, who's this guy? Nathan Robinson, who writes for, I'm forgetting the name of the place right now, but he came out and he's like one of these like kind of leftist guys. He's like apparently real like friends with Noam Chomsky and all this stuff. But he doesn't seem nearly as interesting a thinker as Noam Chomsky. And his whole thing is he had an article.
He works for The Guardian.
I used to like The Guardian.
He writes for them sometimes. He also has his own publication, but the guy, he writes for a bunch of different places. But
Current Affairs magazine.
Current Affairs, that's it. But the thing is, he came off. Where are you going?
Well, he made his point.
Yeah. Well,
what about, so the current affairs guy, are you saying, what exactly are you saying about him now?
Well, yeah, you're just walking around. Like, just your
Sorry,
beard.
man, I
like
realized,
totally
I
froze and
we
then
were
said, well, what are you
starting
saying
right when
about
we
him?
started.
Huh? Okay. All right. Well, the point is he's basically basically what he's arguing against, and I see a lot of people doing this now, is that they're saying there's all this area now that's maybe best personified by The Hills Rising. Do you know that show on YouTube?
No.
Rising with dude, you gotta watch it. It's the best news show by far. It's a person, Crystal Ball
from The Hill, like the publication, The Hill.
Yeah.
Is this the Matt Taibbi thing?
No, it's the other. That's another good one, but he goes on there all the time. It's the only really successful kind of situation where you have somebody who's on the left and somebody who's on the right, but they're both sort of part of the new left and new right, where there's a bunch of overlap, like a lot of things like on trade and a lot of stuff on foreign policy and just about the corruption of the system and so on. Crystal used to be on MSNBC, and this other guy, Sagar and Jetty, he used to write for the Daily Caller. And they come on and they have all this area where they totally agree. Like, there's always been this overlap between the populist right, which is best embodied by the best of Trump's rhetoric during the 2016 campaign, on those areas where he kind of overlapped with the left, like about like reducing foreign wars and like and putting tariffs on China and all this sort of thing, which is the same thing that Bernie Sanders was for. And Bernie Sanders was even
Bernie Sanders flip-flopped so hard, and you could tell once he started flip-flopping, because that's when his advertising campaign went from "here are my policies" to "I've been honest and I've never changed." Once he started telling us he's never changed was when he flip-flopped everything.
Yeah,
never liked him.
He did. Yeah,
you never liked him.
I voted for him in the last primary, but the point I'm trying to make is there are now people that are seeing this alliance between the kind of populist left and populist right, instead of not the anti-establishment versions where they have all of this common ground, where you see people like Nathan Robinson, who basically came out, and he's supposed to be one of like the cool like lefty types who's super pro all this stuff, but he's basically compared Sagar to he basically just said, isn't right wing, what the article is named is, isn't right wing populism just fascism? And he basically, his whole thing was just like, you shouldn't work with these people because they're so disgusting. But the thing is, it's just like, if you've actually watched that show or listened to what a lot of these people are saying, it's obvious it's coming from a good place. But I think that there is a vested interest in making sure that these two sides can't come together on anything and get anything done, that they stay at each other's throats, because at the end of the day, it's like a lot of these people in these institutions who are very well-to-do. I think Nathan Robinson, he has like a he went to Yale and Harvard. He has like 2 PhDs and all of this different stuff. He's part of this.
Competence doesn't matter anymore.
Well, yeah, but I think the point is a lot of it seems to be they don't want to actually get anything done. They want to write about it and talk about, they want to, in the abstract, talk about all of these things, but they don't want to see any of it actually get done. Once there's actually some way of making a political alliance, they're just like, nope, they're bad and they're racist and all this stuff.
What do you think is the motivation behind that?
Well, the thing is that guys like that, I think it's complicated, and I don't think it's all just nefarious or something like that, or it's even all conscious. I think the motivation is that people that are in that sort of position, they actually benefit hugely from the status quo. They're in a very privileged position where they get to benefit from having the education that they have, from getting invited to all the coolest like parties and being in these very advantaged situations. And if you sit there and just talk about all the things that you want to do and how there's so little justice in the world and things should be different and stuff like that, while being able to benefit from that current system, it's kind of the best of both worlds. Since you can you can benefit from the system yourself while saying words that make it seem like you're this virtuous person. And I think that there are some people where I think it's just they're genuinely bothered by the other
So you're
side.
talking about Colin Kaepernick in that regard, where it's like he says he wants all this stuff, but then, you know, once capitalism comes calling, he always signs the contract, right?
Well, I think that's related for sure. There is definitely now a business.
There's definitely a
that
problem
kind of
there.
thing. There's a huge
What's
problem.
the saying? It's every great cause transforms into a business and then descends into or devolves into a racket.
Right.
Yeah, people ruin everything, basically.
Right.
Well, sure, and I think it was Ben Shapiro the other day said something like, basically, you can tell how virtuous and necessary the cause is based on how long it takes for it to become a racket. And I think that's true, because I mean, it took feminism about 100 years to become a racket, right? It wasn't really till the late 80s, early 90s that whole third wave intersectionality stuff started, and you started really seeing a lot of feminists, from Caitlin Flanagan to Katie Royfee to Camille Paglia to Christine Hoff Sommers, all just like jumping ship and being like, yo, these people are hustlers. These people are grifters, right?
Right, but are you saying feminism in general is a racket, or is there a
No, I'm
movement
saying people
you're talking about
there are some people who
specifically?
use it as a racket. Like, it can be a racket.
No, absolutely.
In general, it's not. It was very important, and we needed it. There's a reason it took so long to even get there, because there was actual work that needed to be done. But similarly to like the civil rights movement, you know, it's been at least 50 years. Things are pretty good, generally speaking. Can they be better? Sure.
Yeah.
But like the idea that now is some great moment of oppression is, to me, just historically ignorant and remarkably dangerous, actually, because when you tell people they're oppressed, they think they're oppressed, and it doesn't actually matter whether they are. And so you're disconnecting people's political agendas from reality, which is dangerous for everyone involved.
Yeah, and I think the extent to which, I mean, I think it's wrong to call it really oppression, but I think the biggest thing, and I think one of the reasons,
who's oppressed? Who thinks they're oppressed and isn't?
well,
Anyone who,
So we can talk about it.
honestly, dude, so many people, pretty much, there are even white men who think they're oppressed right now, right?
Yeah.
Go look up the hashtag white genocide or whatever, right? Like, anyone who can consider them a victim, they'll find an excuse to do so.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter what the movement is or what the job is. There's always someone who's gonna fucking ruin it for everyone.
Well, I think it's a mindset.
Universal problem.
And I think the mindset, just like, so like a great example would be like ideology in general, right? Like, I know so many people right now who are remarkably woke and basically treat wokeism as their religion, right?
definitely.
They're willing to do these catechisms where they're willing to do these weird Spanish Inquisition things where they admit to things they didn't even do, and
Right.
all this
They get
stuff.
off on it.
Right, but how is that different from an evangelical / extremely Catholic mindset or whatever, right?
I think it's a way. It's partly a way of saying I'm part of this group. I'm one of the good people. Look how great I am. Like, it's a lot of
It's a total
like
ego thing.
Totally, it's like a lot of people. I mean, certainly on like the Western tradition, it's a lot of Catholic stuff where like self-flagellation, and I mean that's why it's called self-flagellating. It's like actually punishing yourself and like whipping your own back. I think a lot of that energy's been sort of transformed. And all right, so I want to ask a question.
The question is this, before you get to it.
No, go ahead.
Isn't it annoying either way? Like, the example I like to use is, I remember once I was sitting there when I was in college. I was sitting in a cafeteria. Some kid walks up to me and, without my asking, just starts telling me how he found Jesus, and he just goes into this like 20-minute story of him finding Jesus. Yeah. My life was in all these terrible places. I was cutting myself, and then Jesus saved me, right?
I live for those moments.
Different? Oh, everyone's had those moments, right? But
how I live for them. I love that confrontation of saying, I don't think it exists.
You see, you
Talk about
enjoy
it.
things like that.
Yeah.
Actually, if someone did
acceptable-
it that way, I might be kind of a dick.
Yeah,
but-
exactly. If they're really that blatantly getting into your space and saying that you need to be saved by Jesus, I just want to think of like the perfect troll thing to say. I mean, that's what the moment is for.
And
I
in
think-
my opinion, as you should, and that's actually what the friend I was with
Right.
did. He was like, "You got to leave." But my point is, I don't see how that's really different than when a trans person I've never met before walks up to me and starts telling me, like, "Dude, let me tell you the story of how I cut my dick off."
Does
Like,
that happen to you?
I would actually
Yes.
listen to that.
See,
Yes.
that's never happened to me.
I've had that happen 3 times from people I have never seen again and never met before, who just walked up to me. I said like hi, and within 30 seconds, I was hearing their entire journey of like, my mother, you know, she used to like hit me with a belt, and then I was cutting myself, and then I realized I have this dysphoria. And it's like, yo, man, if you're my, or woman, whatever, if you're my friend and I give a shit, then I'll ask and I'll be interested. But if I don't know you, I don't care how you decided you were a girl.
Right.
Just like I don't care how you decided Jesus was your savior. I just don't really give a shit who you are.
I have that problem with everyone. I don't know many trans people, but the other day I had a Zoom meeting with a new accountant who's helping me with my taxes. And I just wanted to find out a few things about percentages and how much to claim from certain things. And I learned out that this guy likes to exercise until he vomits because he thinks that the mental strength from vomiting really helps. And he mentioned like when he dates maybe 3 or 4 times during our meeting, where he was like, so like if I'm going out and I'm dating, like and he also had the thing on record and he didn't even tell me. And he like, there's people like that who just
That's
want to
egomaniac.
fucking talk about themselves.
How
They don't care who it is. They just want to hear themselves. It's the same people that go to a restaurant.
How good
Is that
looking
the
was
same,
this
though?
guy? How good looking was this guy? Not very good
That's a
looking,
good question.
or
He was like a 7.
okay,
Maybe.
so it was.
He had a hat on. No, you know what it is? He was the owner of a business. And also, he was recording himself. So he totally had that vibe where I'm being recorded right now. I'm going to come off really good lately because in about an hour, I'm going to watch this and I'm probably going to jerk off.
You think he just goes back and
He just
watches
goes
himself?
back and watches himself. He gave us so much advice and he had so many opinions on COVID-19 and what the government is doing. He taught us like a class, and it was all so he can later fucking rewatch the Zoom meeting and just feel the euphoria that he's amazing.
See,
He told
I've
us
run into that problem.
5 minutes in, he told us that he works out until he vomits.
That's
Wow.
just, I would be like, I need a new accountant.
Yeah, are you still gonna?
It's
Are you
fucking
still
crazy.
Are you still gonna work with him?
Yeah, he ended up,
He's a good accountant.
he's good. Yeah, he gave me some really good advice, but like if he decides to charge me, I'm gonna be like, listen, dude, I needed about 10 minutes. All the half hour of you going into working out until you vomit, that's on you. I'm not paying.
Yeah, I'm not paying for that. Yeah, well, that's the thing, though, is I do want to be clear. I don't think that either proselytizing Christians or proselytizing trans people are necessarily egomaniacs. There's obviously going to be egomaniacs in every group of people. I think it's more
thinking
like
you're
a
the
lack
center
of
of the
validation.
world. Yeah.
Sorry?
I think it's more thinking of yourself too much. It's more of a narcissism thing where you're constantly thinking about yourself and you constantly think that you're part of the conversation.
Yeah.
People who they don't bother asking anything about you. And I'm not saying trans people. I'm just saying people in general with this psychology. They're not interested in anything about your life. They just want to use you so they can listen to themselves talk about their journey.
Right. Yeah, well, dude, if you know people, one of the hallmarks of a lot of different personality disorders, like histrionic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, is this instinct to assume in an almost paranoid sense that when people are talking over there, they're probably talking about you. What are you doing? What's wrong? And it's like everything gets filtered through this you lens, and it ends up causing massive problems for you socially and psychologically, because It's not actually healthy to give that much of a shit about yourself. There's so many other things you need to be doing, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like if we would just stop caring as much about people's story or their journey and just listen to what the fuck they have to say and how well they're saying it, I think we would get a lot more things done.
Were any of the people that revealed themselves to you, did any of them have interesting stories? And also just
of Christians or trans people or both? Because I think both have, yeah, sure.
Well, but I was thinking trans people, but either.
Christians always have some good like lesbian stories or something.
And then also that's interesting too, but I would say this, did you get the sense, this is the real thing. Kidding. Well, some of them might.
No, exactly. I mean,
do you also, adding on to that, did you get the sense that they were genuinely recounting their lived story as it actually happened? Or do you think on some level, because this is something I noticed people...
Like a Facebook version of what happened.
Well, sort of. What I was going to say is, do you think it always needs to conform to a certain sort of story? Like, I'll give you an example.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't have all right, so if you talk to people, if you've ever been to like an AA meeting or something like that, you'll notice that in order to be elevated in the group, there's a certain sort of story that everybody is supposed to tell. And no one says this, but if you watch group dynamics, what happens, and some people are very genuine, is it always goes like this. My life was a total mess. I gave up drinking. I came to AA, and then everything has gotten better, and I owe everything to AA. That's the broad strokes of it, but there are these things that repeat. And what I noticed is that the more people you hear talk, you notice that some people, in their rigorous honesty, are actually, it's just another form of bullshit. It's, what are you supposed to say? It's actually a form of sickness because they aren't being honest. It's not like,
what makes the best story.
Well, exactly. But a lot of them,
it's seeking sympathy. It's seeking
seeking
approval. Yeah.
Yes. And you get elevated. So the more time that's there, and the more you tell the story, the more you're elevated within the group. You're seen as like an upstanding mentor. You're working the program right. You're doing the right thing.
Well, look, AA is a cult, though, right?
Well, I think that's debatable, but I think the point is, I think with a lot of this stuff, like Christianity or like wokeism, and that's another part of it that I want to get into. I
was wondering if you brought it up because of the cultish element.
Exactly, and I think the thing is that
I disagree. I don't think it's a cult.
I would agree,
that, but yeah,
but that's what I want to get into is, I think that there are ways of engaging with any ideology that is the sort of groupthink, not even thinking, not even being an individual, not being honest. It's sort of reciting these incantations and being part of the group. And I think part of a healthy group, a healthy way of engaging with these things, is maintaining your personal integrity and your personal honesty within the group, rather than just filling yourself up with the lies of the group in order to elevate yourself or feel belonging. So
yeah,
to circle it all around.
What's an example of a lie?
Well, okay, I'll put it to you this way. I think a lot of people, for example, that are in AA, it's quite obvious to me, and there are a lot of people that probably really helps, because I think there are
very low success rate. I think it's like 5% or something.
Very
like
low
10 to 15, I think. Yeah.
It's I've heard like 5 to 10%. But the point is I'm sure for many people, because I will say I've been into those rooms, and it is this sense of camaraderie is very nice. And you do say these incantations, you say it together. There's a thing of like how many days you have. It bonds people in a way that is very good for the human psychology. It gives you a tribe. And that, and especially if you're somebody who's disconnected and you're like relying on substances and all of this different stuff.
It only works if you believe in God, though.
Well, they say you can believe in any
it's a higher power. So there's
okay. That's
convenient.
It only works if you believe in a higher power.
But I think at this point in my life, it's like clearly there's a higher power.
Yeah, but if you read the literature, they're obviously not talking about the universe. It's very,
I know.
It's very specific.
Not really. Yeah. I will say I've now been thoroughly versed in all of this. I had to read the big book and stuff like that. There's a chapter called We Agnostics, and it's all about this. I
wonder when it was added.
No, it was written from the beginning.
Really?
It was, but the thing is, you can definitely tell it's a thing in there, to where that there are like factions within it of some people your higher power should be God, and you're not really doing it unless it should be God. And then there are people that there's these little sub factions and these little warring factions. But I guess it's a twofold question, and you tackle whichever one of them you want in any way you'd like to. But the first thing is, do you think that the people that you spoke to, how many of them seemed as though it was a genuine expression of something, and how much of it seemed to be the manifestation of ideology in their life, and it was not really a truly genuine story about despair and redemption? And then the other thing would be, and this is more broad to all of us, and maybe we'll hit this next. Do you think, because I've spent plenty of time sort of saying all the problems I have with like wokeism, if you will, do you think that there is also a version of wokeism that is a healthy version of it, that in the same way that someone in AA or someone who's a Christian or whatever, they're engaging with the ideas in such a way that actually makes them a better person, and where they can be part of a tribe, but they're also like a person of integrity and stuff and all of that stuff? Because I'll put that. I have my kind of opinions, but I'm curious.
Let me tackle the first one first, if that's okay.
Cool. Yeah, sure.
I think that what they are saying, be it a proselytizing Christian or an evangelical transsexual, whatever, it may often be true. I think a lot of times what they're telling me is the truth. I don't necessarily think that. So in that regard, it's not like they're lying. So it's genuine in that regard. The ingenuine part is really coming from the ideology, because ideology is not content as much as ideology is a filter.
Yes.
Right? So in that regard, it usually seems somewhat rehearsed. And that's one of the things I don't like about it. And because things that are performative by definition are lacking a certain amount of genuine sentiment, right? And that just can't be avoided. And so in that regard, I think that there is a real issue of, I would say it's really just kind of an issue of trust that a lot of people have with strangers. You don't know what a stranger is going to do with certain information. So I think everyone kind of has this performance on deck, for when you're meeting a new person and you want to project a certain idea of yourself, right? And especially if you are an ideologue, your idea of yourself is usually directed by that ideology in the first place, right? And so that's where I think that's where I get irritated, because I've been to AA meetings, dude, like, because I got fucked with by the police, like, pretty hard, and got a pretty ridiculous sentence, and so I had to go to like AA meetings even though I was arrested for weed, right?
I want to hear about this when you're done.
Oh yeah, we'll talk when we get to police. It'll definitely come up.
Sure.
But like the thing is, I've seen it. I mean, the AA meetings I went to were either in a church or in this. One was actually in an old bar that no longer had liquor, and it was kind of funny. Like the owner got sober, but like and that guy's name was Frank, and we would always smoke cigarettes. And I thought that guy was awesome. I thought some of the people I met were awesome. I
met some great people too. Yeah.
The group, however, was what annoyed me, and that might just be because I do not like groups very much. I just don't like group think. I'm very big into individualism more than anything else.
Right.
And I'm also aware of the fact that things like AA have a low success rate, and I'm aware that there are other treatment options that are available to alcoholics and drug addicts in Europe that aren't available to us here right now, that have like a 60 to 70% retention rate.
What
and
are
similarly,
those?
Please tell us.
Oh, well, there's a drug that for a long time, I don't know if this has changed or not, but the FDA just wouldn't test. And basically what it does is when you drink past a certain amount, when your blood alcohol level gets past a certain amount, you immediately get nauseous.
Yeah, you throw up. I've heard of that.
Yeah. We have that. We have that here. A lot of people in AA take that. It's called Anabuse.
I don't remember the name of the drug. I know that as of 3 years ago or so, it hadn't even been tested by the FDA, the drug I'm thinking of.
Maybe it's a different one, but they have those drugs where if you take it, you get violently ill. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've had that.
Here's the thing,
they've definitely had that for heroin for a long time.
Well, that's a different kind of thing.
Ill. I think it just makes you uncomfortable, but you don't, because what they want is for you to just stop drinking. And somehow this drug rewires your neural pathways to learn moderation is the idea. And then they usually, though, won't even put you on it until you've been sober for 2 years. And then you're going to be drinking with a psychiatrist present. And the idea is if we can teach people moderation, the recidivism rate will drop, because the issue with AA primarily on a clinical level is that this idea of absolute
abstinence,
sobriety.
Yeah,
sobriety.
Right. It's abstaining from one drink. If you have one drink, it's over. Well, then if someone makes a mistake and has one drink, well, I might as well have 20 more, because like, fuck it.
That's
right?
what a lot of them do.
Yeah, and that's the recidivism rate of AA is like 80%. It doesn't work, like minimum. It doesn't work for 80% of people who go there.
Way more than that. And they're cool about, okay, you slipped up, you come back, but like you go back to
multivariate
they're not
solutions.
They're
offering
not
one solution.
Like I know and the thing is that all the research shows, and the crazy thing is this, how you know it's a little bit of has some cultish thinking, is I have unfortunately very direct knowledge with how this ideology functions. And the whole notion for a lot of them is if you're not, sober, you can't be trusted. You can't do anything. They project their worst
fears.
Their worst fears and the worst elements of themselves. And there is either sobriety or not. And there are dry drunks and things like this. But
so I'd say
for a lot of people, though, one drink is a trigger.
Oh,
for a lot of people, like
some people just have to stop.
Even marijuana, like, yeah, you're into drinking. You used to love drinking. You're sober. You take a hit of weed and you feel good, and you're like, oh, I feel so good. Let's get some margaritas. Right. There is that mentality that's very real, and I've seen it happen in front of me, and it's even happened to me.
Well, right. So the idea in Europe is what you got to do then is you have to condition people, right? And you have to condition them to slowly change that. Because, so like, for instance, not to get into a conversation of free will, but the Sam Harris view of free will that I like is, okay, you probably don't have free will in the moment because everything is a conditioned reaction.
You don't think about every time you laugh.
Right, but you have control over thinking about, why did I laugh at that? Why did I do what I did? And when you are introspective and you analyze yourself honestly, what you can actually do is condition yourself over time to have better instincts. So the idea with the therapeutic treatments in Europe is if we condition someone to be able to have one drink or be able to have a hit of marijuana without needing to just go off the rails and binge, that's probably going to be a more stable solution than constantly having them on this razor's edge where if they even fall off a little bit, they're fucking done.
Right. And it becomes their whole social circle and their whole life.
And this is the same with fundamentalist religious people, and it's the same with woke people. If you aren't seen as part of the in-group, you are problematic, is the new word of the year, I guess. But
you're not with us, you're against us.
Yep.
Right. And it's a problem because it's like, dude, nothing in the history of democracy, at least, has ever been solved in such absolute terms.
No, it immediately turns me off. It's like, if you think you can,
it's a bunch of overly coddled motherfuckers.
A lot of them are.
It's over coddled. Yeah, it's people. It's the way we grew up, dude. Like,
well,
that.
You know what's funny is these people would have been the fundamentalist Christians, and if they were this age in the 80s, they would have been the ones being like, ban Scorsese, you know? But like, now they want to ban Scorsese because he has boobs, not because he has Jesus, you know, like whatever it is, it's just like this weird.
Ban Blazing Saddles, written by Richard Pryor.
Right. It's this odd, which it's all these people who haven't read the fucking Crucible, apparently.
Yeah.
Because
I haven't read the Crucible.
Oh, really? I mean, it's pretty good, actually.
I read it in school.
You
haven't seen the movie with Daniel Day-Lewis?
It's great as an adult. Yeah, the movie's actually all right.
I should read it. There's a lot of great literature that I've yet to read, unfortunately.
The Crucible is great just because, you know, the witchcrafts are, you know, witch trials are a great metaphor. Part of why we call McCarthyism a witch hunt is because of the Crucible, right?
Of course.
It's about witches, it's about burning witches and shit.
It's about a witch trial
it's about the Salem witch hunts.
Oh yeah, I should read that. Yeah, that sounds great.
The people are on trial for being blasphemous.
Spanish Inquisition, just people have been doing this over and over and over and over and over again. And so the issue is all these people I meet on the woke left who are like remarkably just anti-theists. They're not just atheists, they're anti-theists, right? And when I talk to a lot of my friends like that, I'm like, dude, you are basically speaking with the zeal of a fucking Christian preacher right now, though.
100%.
You've changed the superficial details, but you haven't changed the underlying function. You haven't changed the underlying mechanism, is the word I'm looking for, that is causing religion to be a problem for you. The issue isn't the idea of that. I mean, the idea that God exists or not is pretty innocuous, honestly, if you remove all the dogma, right? The issue most people have tends to be dogmatic. So once again, go, you know, listen to, I don't know, fucking Dennis Prager, and he's got this dogmatic opposition to the woke people. But it's like you guys are both engaging in a very similar mechanism of thought. It's the same psychological process, just on different ends of the spectrum. And so what we have to find a way to change is that underlying issue, which is universal in all these different factions that you were talking about.
I wonder if on some level these things are inevitable or even necessary.
In what way would they be inevitable or necessary?
Got to learn the lesson.
I mean, I guess the thing, yeah, there's something within all these things that I think is actually important. Like
you always have to fuck up. There's no progress without fucking up.
The biggest distinction for me with the woke stuff, because the funny thing is all of a sudden, okay, in the same way that, all right, so I can't really consider myself a Christian, right? But because I was, you know, raised up in that circumstance, a lot of those values like do hold, hopefully in the best sense of it. Like not so much the dogma, but it's just a lot of the good stuff about it. It does inform the way you think and act in the world in a positive way. And like, you know, I think there are a lot of religious people
even
like that.
Even if you're brought up religious or not, it still influences pretty much
100%. And so I think a lot of those things are really like, they do help like shape things
Sure.
in a positive way. And the funny
It's
thing
great
is,
mythology.
it is, and
That's
the
why
weird,
I liked it when I was a kid. I like the stories,
Yeah, well, that's all
the
it
stories
is.
are important. The stories are
Yeah.
important,
Right,
and I
stories
think
are everything.
right, and I think that what's weird about the woke thing is that it started to dogmatize and create all of these really rigid ideas out of things that I did for similar reasons, that for the reason I still hold certain Christian values. There are certain liberal values that
Do you
I've
know
always
Majid
had.
Nawaz?
Yeah, I know Majid.
I love it. He's one of the best voices for this time, in my opinion. And he had a great fucking Twitter thread where he's
What's
just
his
like,
name?
here's a list.
Majid
Majid
Nawaz.
Nawaz with 2 A's in his first name and 2 A's in his last name, but the 2 A's are whatever. Fucking, he had this awesome Twitter thread where he just said, here's a list of the causes I still care about that have been completely hijacked by the anti-Israel woke, whatever he called them else, left. You know what I mean? Socialist left. I forget exactly the term he used. I know he used the word anti-Israel in there, though. And he just, climate change, women's movement, gay rights, like just pretty much every liberal value that he listed. He listed like 10 things. I'm like, yep, those are like 10 of my top priorities. And the reason why I'm frustrated and the reason why I think what people are maybe just starting to figure out is that the real censorship, in my opinion, is really happening to liberals. It's really the people who are really in danger are liberals. The conservatives will find their own ecosystem, right? But people like you and me who see ourselves as liberal individuals, I see myself on the left, and I stand by the old left hallmarks of freedom of speech. They've just abandoned that one. They've abandoned a couple, but in so doing, they've made their positions on issues I truly care about untenable.
Right. It's the dogmatism, the orthodoxy just kind of poisons the entire thing.
And well, there's no, dude, part of why there seem to be all these problems with Black Lives Matter as an organization is because they are proud of the fact they're leaderless. Name a leaderless movement in history that hasn't just resulted in total chaos.
Right.
There isn't. There's none. There's zero.
Well, I think it's a snake that eats its own tail. And
right.
And one thing, just before we get too much longer, I think that by far, I'm enjoying this conversation a lot. By far, shorter is better. People don't with things like this, so we should probably only go for another 10 minutes. People don't want to hear us go on for 2.5 hours. It's not
on woke people. Yeah, I'm with you.
No. I just mean the whole thing. Just people don't get through to the end. They get bored. I think regardless, I think this is good. We should definitely do it again. Oh, we've been going for almost an hour, so let's go for another maybe
Jesus
10.
Christ.
Yeah, no.
Have I been rambling like a maniac?
No, it's been good. The conversation.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of substance.
Yeah, there definitely has been. I've just noticed, especially looking at all the analytics, it's just there's only so far people will go.
Let's shift, can we shift it to the subject of cancel culture and how you survive it as a sane, rational individual without getting canceled?
Yeah, let's hit that.
How do you avoid being put on trial?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry?
Go ahead. Yeah, let's hit that.
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know the answer to that question.
Repeat the question.
How do you avoid being John Proctor in the Crucible? Can you? If you're a decent man who just happens, or woman, or they, I don't really give a shit, you know what I mean? If you're a decent person who just, believes what they believe and says it casually, and you aren't part of this specific mob, how do you avoid that specific mob coming after you? Because from the founder of Vice to J.K. Rowling to Steven Pinker, it's coming for everyone on the left.
Honestly, it all comes down to, and it's vague, but you need to know how to stick up for yourself. You need to know how to defend yourself. And look no further than someone like Howard Stern. He's one person who seems to know how to do it. He just
But
knows how to deal with
kowtowed big
management.
time.
Well, he just says that he was insane and he's had years of psychotherapy to help deal with his stuff. I mean, he just knows how to talk to people. He knows how to talk about a situation practically. It's all about kind of, instead of like shouting or being a, you're kind of like, listen, here's what I'm trying to do. You know, it has a lot to do with being conversational.
Here's the thing is, I think that Howard, in the day, there was nobody better at doing that kind of thing, even though a lot of what he did, I had listened to some of the stuff from the 80s. I'm like, good Lord. But I think these days, I think he should have been canceled so long ago that I think that Howard now is a different sort of guy, and he's bulletproof. And part of it is because he's very strategic, and I think
obsessive.
But that's what I'm saying.
Donald Trump's bulletproof, and he is not strategic.
But they're different.
Donald Trump just doesn't care.
Howard
that might be the key to it, I think.
But I think Howard gets away with what he does now because he comes out against Trump. He does enough things and has mea culpa enough, and he does enough for them that he's allowed
do you think he should have
to continue.
Should he have to mea culpa?
I'm not saying one way or the other. I just think that's
what's
the reality.
Mea culpa?
It's like a basically plea for forgiveness.
He doesn't plea for forgiveness. If you plead for forgiveness, you're fucked.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. I think what he
does. Pleading for
does.
forgiveness is a cliche, and everyone can sense it immediately. And know that
what
you're full of shit.
What he does instead is he knows to, for example, go out and say things about Trump. He makes sure that he's he's ingratiated himself with the people who otherwise would have canceled him. Very strategically, I think.
Well, Bill Maher's done that too, right?
Well, he does do that. Yes.
I think Bill Maher's ending monologues are amazing. I think they've been fantastic.
Bill Maher, I still see Bill Maher. That's one thing is
Bill Maher calls out these people.
He's able to do stuff like that.
Here's the thing, is that there's those couple individuals who have they've made it their thing to be not politically correct, and they did it at a time when that was hot. So that's their brand.
Including
so
Bill
whenever
Maher,
Bill Maher does anything, what's up? Sorry.
No, you're right. Yeah, that's what Bill Maher and Howard Stern have made a career out of doing.
For instance, with my band, The Absurd, we kind of took a similar approach. Mostly just the way that started was we were just wearing American flag shirts, and people flipped to shit, dude. And I was like, I didn't realize America was racist. And so we were just like, well, I guess we got to keep wearing American flag shirts because America is not inherently racist. And basically, also just we're loud people. We like to say what we fucking think. But at some point, and I think, Miles, you actually backed us up, which I truly appreciate, on Facebook with our last little attempt at cancellation.
What happened?
There's some sick fucks out there.
Oh, yeah. What, sorry?
There's some sick fucks out there. It was more, for me, it was more that one guy who was mad at you guys, whoever that idiot's name is, who has whatever poll he has. So many people were speaking on his behalf and saying, look, the thing about him is, like, he obviously has his minions. And that's how you know he's bad.
Wait, I need to know.
It's all very important that he has an army that can go after Josh and represent him. And this is
the story sickness. Here. Let's get into
I'll tell it.
Tell the story.
No, Josh, I saw the tweet. It's like some woman, some minority woman said, and by the way, you should, watch, movies that have strong black characters. And Josh, you go ahead and tell it.
Yeah.
Basically, I will say, I think there were two ways to interpret that tweet. There are like kind of two messages in there. And the one I focused on
was set it up. Like, tell it as a story.
Yeah. The tweet was basically saying, in terms of its logical content, you should watch more movies with black people.
With
And
black
I
people
think
doing
just as an
positive
artist,
things.
And then
Yeah,
what did you?
the
And then
other
what did
part
you
was just
say?
saying,
Like, how did this unfold? Is what I'm saying.
basically, I
He trolled
commented
her.
that you shouldn't watch movies based on the race of who's in them. You can just watch movies from all over the world. And so, like, the joke I made was like, have you ever seen a Korean movie? They're pretty good too, right? And apparently, what that means was I was invalidating.
Right.
Black
Then this
people in
guy in
film.
all caps went blocked and retweeted it like this fucking egomaniac.
A white guy?
Yeah,
I think so.
Of course.
Of course.
A white guy. This white asshole that is like blocked, and he says blocked in all caps because he's so angry.
Because he dunked on us, dude.
He's so like euphoric about how he's gonna be on the right side of history, and
he's so virtuous,
transparent, and
he's part of the tribe.
This guy treats people like shit in real life.
This
guy is a bigger vomit than probably most Trump supporters. He is using social media to manipulate his image and make himself look like a good guy, and he has all these fucking idiots who are speaking on his behalf as if he's their master. It is so fucking disturbing.
There's a whole crowd of people who are just looking for a reason because they don't like us, and because we're three tall white men, we're fucking good and we're loud, and we don't always agree with them, and they don't like that. And the thing is,
so the Absurd wrote a public apology on Facebook.
Well, yeah, the real mistake we made was just that then what happened was Ben put this thing up, which I actually stand pretty much 100% by, except for the fact that he called the guy a coward instead of calling his actions cowardly, which meant all of a sudden we were attacking him, even though.
Wait, you gotta tell, here. Like, okay, so.
No, I'll tell you what, Max, I'll tell you in 20 seconds. This black woman made a tweet that you should watch movies where black people are represented in a positive light. And Josh said, how about I just watch movies not based on race or anything, and I just watch them because I like the stories. Have you ever seen any Korean films? Which I immediately liked that tweet because I am a huge Korean film lover, as you know.
Right.
Yeah, it's great.
And so after the guy comes and says blocked, what did all the people say? What did the minions say?
Then the Absurd posted on Facebook about the situation. Right, Josh? They posted.
How many people attacked? How many people attacked? What were the people that attacked said?
Well, I'm telling you, they put this all happened on Facebook, even though originally it was on Twitter. They go onto Facebook and they kind of write a post about what's happening and how they're not racist, but they've been accused of racist. And then everyone starts commenting on that post and trying to like make them look like shit. One white guy is even like, Black Lives Matter. Say it.
Yeah.
Like just using this one quick moment that he sees so he can jerk off.
Right.
Okay.
And dude, basically we didn't give a shit until what ended up happening. I don't know if you know this part, Miles. I have screen caps from some of my friends. This guy was kind of ringleading these people in this group he's an administrator of on Facebook. And I was getting screen caps of what was being said in the group from a couple of I guess, moles that we have inside the system. And fucking literally, dude, the guy went and he said, this one guy who's hated us for a long time and literally won't tell us why. The only time we ever played a show together was when I got his band onto Gay Pride, but then that made me a homophobe somehow. Basically, he was like, yeah, see, now everyone's seeing what I've been telling you about these guys, right? And
I know, it's all about him. He finally gets to be vindicated, and everyone's like, this guy knew. This guy fucking knew.
He literally goes, he's like, I should listen to you all along, Johnny. Yo, hit me up in the DMs.
Yeah, dude.
So that you can tell me other bands to hate.
Exactly.
He literally did
this just changed our lives, Johnny.
Should I hate? What kind of person does that sort of thing?
You know what I mean? People who are very insecure and very desperate to be loved.
They need a group. They need a group. Yeah, they're trying to be
people who so want to be stars.
How many people were going after you?
I'd say like
a ton.
40 or 50.
Wow.
It was so, dude, I was reading these comments because the way they were like talking on behalf of this guy's like, look, if you want to get in his good graces again, you're going to have to retract a statement. And I'm just sitting there like, so my blood is fucking boiling at these people and how despicable they are because Josh.
And they're going after our other.
Because Josh trolls. And look, I will say I disagreed with one thing that The Absurd said. They said that the original post that the black woman wrote was racially insensitive. I don't think it's racially insensitive. I think it's okay to say, hey, you should try watching movies that where like black people are shining light. I think that's a that's a fine statement to me. I'm okay with it.
That's okay.
Yeah, no,
especially in this climate. So I don't think it was racially insensitive. I think your response though is funny. I don't think your response is that big of a deal. But I don't think she was being racially insensitive either.
I don't take the editor of that magazine, Daniel Barron, I don't take him that seriously because, like, dude, like a week later, the guy just started posting all on every single social media platform about how he wanted to kill himself. So I just kind of feel bad for that guy.
Well, there's a lot of that. The guy who was the ringleader was the editor of a magazine
that no one cares about. Yeah.
Yeah, I found that out later.
And I mean, apparently some people care about it, but I'd never heard of it. And the thing is, basically now and then it just comes out. The guy's just kind of like probably been alone in his room throughout the whole Corona thing. He's having, I just kind of feel a little sad for him. I don't really hate him. What bugged me was the ensuing attempt to cancel our friends simply for associating with us, which then, so that pisses me off. And then the thing that pisses me off after that was when then a lot of those friends buckled and just in acts of pure fear and cowardice, we're just like, yeah, we're going to call it The Absurd 2 just to cover our ass.
And just being weak, that's just followers.
Wow, dude, like, this is a whole.
Dude, no, you have to see. I'm surprised.
I have to talk to you guys about.
Go see it on Facebook.
I didn't see.
Dude, read it. I was in there, dude. I was trying to like fucking.
Did you say anything?
Yeah, that was awesome. Actually, you said some hilarious stuff. You were just like, why don't you stop being an egomaniac?
Yeah, well, well, that's the thing. Like, that's what these people are ruining. What could be good movements, what could be healthy conversations, healthy dialogues. These fucking mostly white kids are coming in and just making it all about themselves.
In the wake of this, in light of that, in the wake of this whole thing, I've had literally a half dozen either fans of our band or just friends of mine from here back home contact me and tell me that they've never had so many white people in their life tell them as black people that they don't care enough about black lives.
I know it's so ironic.
I think it's telling too that a lot of these people who are trying to cancel us for being racist, right? You go to their shows, everyone's white. Go to one of our shows, it is literally probably one of the most diverse crowds in LA.
Think about all the heat Tarantino's getting because of his use of the N-word. This guy, before anyone was fucking thinking about it, he was giving leading roles to African Americans, to women. He actually was interested in other culture. He was interested in African American culture. He's interested in various Asian culture. He's interested in feminism and women. And yet he is the poster boy of being a racist white filmmaker. Like the intellect is gone.
Well, the issue really is like he will be fine, I think, because I think Tarantino has balls, and so he's just going to be like, nah, right? But the issue is that not everyone is, as you're saying, not some people are weaker than others, and some people are stronger than others. And I think it's what's really disheartening.
Some people are simpler than others, too.
Well, it's not even about, dude, it's just that fear snowballs, I think. Fear, once it starts snowballing, then all of a sudden people like who you are surprised that they've caved in on whatever cancellation issue that like for us is the Absurd. We've had that where literally some people have had to like cancel certain things with us where I was like, dude, you like you of all people, like some of these people were like, yeah, dude, keep it up, keep doing the like messaging you're doing.
Dude, you just told me that Jew joke like 2 days ago.
What?
You just told me that Jew joke like 2 days ago, man. Are you canceling us? I'm saying in general the example.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like weird. All these people like in their personal life, like, I'd like to see how they actually are. I have a feeling they treat people like shit.
Yeah.
No, dude, a lot of them actually treat people fine in their personal life. And the issue with social media is that it's not personal. if they would never say these things to your face.
That is a part of it.
Right.
sure.
You know what
That's
I mean?
true
Like,
too. Absolutely.
Because if anyone's talking to you, at some point, for one, you're going to be like, yo, man, we got to have a back and forth. If you're having a back and forth, there's just no room for this absolutist viewpoint because it's so obviously paranoid and fantastical.
All right, by the way, before we end this, what is, for the record, your favorite Korean film?
Can it be in Korean, so not just by a Korean director?
Korean director is fine.
Stoker.
Stoker, I haven't seen it with Nicole Kidman.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that. I've wanted to see that.
Yeah,
It's
I
my
haven't-
favorite.
Really fucking good.
Mine is Old Boy. I think Old Boy is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen.
Old Boy.
I think Old Boy is one of the best. I also think that
I Saw the Devil's a good time, right, Max?
I Saw the Devil. That's my
that's
favorite.
a great one.
Also,
Yeah.
Three Extremes.
Josh
dude.
is a film guy. Josh is a film guy.
That's what
too.
I've heard, Josh. Anytime you want to talk film, dude.
I'm down, dude.
Yeah.
Dude,
I
I've been
love
thinking
film.
I need to do like a film podcast because
Have us on.
I want to, yeah, exactly, dude. Like I want to be able to talk about film, and a lot of my friends are just like, "Shut the fuck up, please."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well, we can-
experienced the same thing.
Well, we should do it again. I feel like we could probably keep going, but I don't want to bore people.
Yeah, totally. Next time we got to jump into my conspiracy theory that you wanted me to talk about, 'cause we didn't even get there.
Definitely. We didn't. No, we have plenty more to talk about. Yeah, I wanted to get into your conspiracy and all that stuff, but I think that's a good amount. So, is there
what's
anything?
the title of this show? What did we talk about? What's this about?
I don't know. I'll go back.
You're
through
gonna
it.
have to figure it out.
I'll just stop recording here.
Just
and
call
we
it
can-
The
we can
Absurd
wrap.
Gets Canceled. Episode 17. The
I
Absurd
actually
Gets
think
Canceled
that
again.
what we should do is I should talk to you and Ben about this stuff just specifically. Like when I'm
I'd be
back in
interested
LA,
to
we should
know
talk
what
about
the
this.
absurd lyrics are and how they relate to the American flag shirts. I mean,
This,
like,
well,
do you go into
I'll-
absurdism, like theater of the absurd, like
A little bit,
Samuel
but let's-
Beckett,
No, it's more
Camus?
like the.
All right,
like Camus.
hang on, guys. Let's
Nice.
let
Camus.
everybody.
Yeah.
Do you want to sign out? Anybody want to plug anything before I stop?
Yeah, I'll
This is your
plug.
boy Miles Stella, but go ahead, Josh.
Sorry, I have two things worth plugging.
Go ahead.
One, if you want to hear us talk more about the whole cancellation thing, you can actually hear Ben and I talking about it on our podcast, Fake Cast, on Fake News Records. Just search Fake News Records, Fake Cast, The Absurd, or I don't know. Fuck, we need to. Anyway, SEO is not our strength. And then also, we have a new music video coming out next Friday for the song Wolf. It's on the Absurd Band, our YouTube page. Look for it. It's going to be awesome. I edited it during quarantine because I was bored.
Hell yeah. Okay, everybody.
I guess you don't care if I have anything going on.
Yeah, Miles has stuff.
Oh, I thought you said. I
No,
thought
you're
you
right.
already
I
said
got
something.
nothing.
Okay. All
I
right,
enjoyed
everybody.
talking to both you guys. Thank you.
We will do
Yeah,
it
Josh,
again.
good seeing you, man.
Peace.
Hell yeah. Next time I'll sit in front of the boobs again too. Don't worry.
Good.